Hello, everybody. It's Jen. Thanks for being a patron on my Patreon channel. Wanted to bring some information to you guys today about ascension energies and ascension symptoms, and how sometimes how we can have effects that are literally only energetic and they're not related to anything else. So that being said, the first thing I want to say is, no, you're not crazy. Yes, this happens. You can get all kinds of different sensations and feelings and pressure and aches and pains and things like that. So I'm going to cover that in like a list with a little bit of explanation through all of them. But one thing that I want to explain right now, given that this is, we're still at the end of May. So this is May 2020, but well, it's really close to June. So we're halfway through 2020. And I just want to let you know you're not crazy. Okay, so what my guides are saying is that we have new light energies. Now, ascension symptoms are nothing new. Like if you Google them, or if you've been in the spiritual community for a while, you'll know what we mean by saying ascension symptoms. But sometimes you're not sure if it's ascension or something else. Right now, what's happening is there's such a huge influx of new light energies coming into the planet that all of us are having some kind of response or reaction to those energies. So it really can just be energy alone. But what my guides are saying about this is, as we know that the planet itself has to awaken. That's what a lot of this is going on right now with the COVID and the pandemic and the stay at home and all of this stuff on the media and all of this stuff in politics. All of that is really trying to wake us up to a new level of awareness. Okay. And so I actually have another video that I wanted, or I'll probably do a video actually on this one about actually the process of ascension and like the things that we go through. I had gotten a message on that before my medical procedure, and now that I'm feeling better, I'm getting back on track. But I felt like I needed to come back in and talk specifically about the symptoms today. So that being said, we're awakening to this new light energy that's coming in. Our bodies are being asked to actually embody the new energy. So that means we're bringing the new light energy into not only our awareness, but also into our physical body. Okay. Now, I'm just going to list some of the things that can happen. You can get headaches. It can be any kind of headaches. It can be just pressure in the head. It could be a dull headache. It can be a full-blown migraine. Anything that feels off in your head sometimes can be related to ascension symptoms. Your vision might be a little bit wacky. You might be like, some days you can just see crystal clear for, forever. And other days, like you can't get focused and your vision's just off. Okay. Light flickers. Like you might be thinking like out of the corner of your eye, you see little flickers or sparkles of light. That can happen. Your ears can have symptoms. You can have ear ringing. You can have ear pressure. You can have ear aches. You can have like your ears tickling. You can have, your ears feeling itchy. Any ringing in your ears that isn't tinnitus. One thing that I always try to tell my clients that I work with is, a lot of times when it's a download from spirit, one thing that I hear is almost like a fax machine. So like, if you guys are old enough to know how a fax machine sounds, it's that really weird sound. So a lot of times that's what I hear when I know that I'm getting some kind of an energy download from my guides. Body aches and pains everywhere. Like it doesn't have to be a certain body part. It can really just be about anything. Sometimes you'll feel maybe like you're buzzing, you know what I mean? Like the energy is just electric and you're feeling that. Vertigo or dizziness that doesn't have any explanation. Maybe feeling off kilter, feeling a little bit like if you're walking and all of a sudden you get dizzy, or you feel like, sometimes it's almost like I feel like the earth moved, even though I'm not in a place where there's any kind of, activity as far as that goes. But sometimes it'll literally feel like the ground isn't quite stable underneath you. One thing I've noticed is being just totally fatigued, like just out of nowhere, all of a sudden I'll just be drained or tired. taking more naps. Like, I'm not a daytime sleep person. Like, I don't usually take naps, but I tell you, there's been a few days where I have to, I'm just so tired. Like, I have to sleep in the middle of the afternoon. And that's not something that's typical for me. On the other side of that, the flip side is you may feel really overwhelmed and you're just totally wide awake, right? So there's been a couple times where 2:30 in the morning, I'm wide awake and I can't seem to get back to sleep, but then I'll eventually, like the other day, I got up at like 2:30 in the morning. I laid there till 3 and I'm like, well, this obviously is not working. So I got up, watched a little TV, had a snack, went back to bed about 4:30, and I was out cold until like 9 o'clock. So I slept really good for those next few hours. Another thing that I've been seeing with some of my clients is your energy is literally running backwards. So for those of us that are familiar with like our energy system and how we have chakras, and our energy typically moves, either clockwise or counterclockwise. I don't ever like to tell anybody which way their energy should run. Mine generally runs like a clockwise pattern. And when I notice that my energy is running backwards, one thing that you can notice if your energy is running backwards is a lot of time you're trying to deflect something. So either there's too much energy coming in, or you're trying to deflect somebody else's emotions. There's all kinds of things that can go there, but it would make sense if your energy, just the more you get in tune with the energy, the more you're going to know if it's running backwards or not. But that's definitely something I've been seeing as well. Nausea, upset stomach, just kind of random out of nowhere. Maybe foods that you normally eat, they don't settle, or maybe even a little bit of heartburn. I'm hearing right now that sometimes heartburn, which would make sense because we've actually been doing so much work on our heart chakra. Cold, just being so cold for no reason and almost out of the blue. Or the opposite, hot flashes and you're just sweating and you're like, I don't even know what's going on, but I'm really, really hot, or I'm really, really cold. And I experience those both. So a lot of times after working with spirit all day, I'll be really warm all day. And then at the end of the day, like when I'm done with all my sessions or whatever, all of a sudden I'm just so cold. But it could also be the other way. It could be that a spirit comes in and you feel cold. So again, use your own, judge of what feels right to you and what doesn't. But either of those can be a sign of the ascension process. Crazy dreams, your arms and legs, your knees and your wrists. So like our arms and legs, the one thing that's always interesting about that, it could just be that, you're with your own ascension becomes your own awakening, and you may be starting to have like new dreams or new desires that you want to have in your life. And if you're feeling like if you end up with an injury in your arm, or if your arms feel weak or whatever, it might be that you feel like you can't actually reach for those dreams. If you're having trouble with your legs, it might be that you are afraid to take that next step forward. So there's things like that it could be. It could be if your knees are locking up, like there's some stubbornness where you don't really want to move forward. Hips, the same thing. Okay. The other thing is we're getting new chakras. So there's been some chakras in the wrist area that have been activating for a lot of people. So they might itch. I know my hand chakras evidently got an upgrade because the middle of my hands have been just itching lately. So, and that to me, I know that means that chakra is either getting upgraded or there's some kind of adjustment or recalibration going to those chakras. Our throat, tightness in the throat, soreness in the throat, that doesn't really make sense. Unusual thoughts that maybe you're like something pops in your mind that you don't usually think about. That can be so many different things. It can be that you're actually purging thoughts that you don't need anymore, or it could be that you're connecting with spirit, not realizing that that's how they're talking to you is through thoughts. Your heart can have flutters or like palpitations. If you don't have that as a medical condition and it's something weird, just, it could just be that you have like a little flutter. Again, I would say that's probably coming back to the heart chakra. I think I said feeling like the ground is moving, like feeling a little bit clumsy. You can have that as well. Tripping up on your words, like you can't talk, or like you know what you want to say but you can't get it out. Like you can't get it said. Or on the flip side of that, like somebody else is talking and you're like, I don't understand, like it's not computing in this brain right now, right? So basically all of these all of the symptoms that I'm listing could also be cold or flu, right? And especially with everything going on right now, it very well could be cold, flu, allergies, or whatever. But the ascension symptoms, like a cold or flu, is going to last for a few days. The ascension symptoms don't usually last. Like, usually it's like a day, if that, or a few hours or something. But then like the next day you're like, oh, I feel fine. But then maybe 3 days later, you feel like that again. So, it can really feel similar to the flu, or a cold or allergies a lot of times. But one thing that I know too, okay, so I'm going to finish the list here that I have. A couple other things that you might have is like not being able to relate to people the same way, and like not understanding why just all of a sudden, like it doesn't make sense to hang out with them anymore, or feeling like you need to stay in more, or feeling like it's too overwhelming, like it's too people-y out there, like you don't want to go out. Those are all ascension symptoms, and that could be developing like your empath abilities, or clairsentience, feeling the energy. Okay. You may be experiencing emotions that you don't know why they're coming up. And again, this could be a purge of your own emotions, because as we ascend and go to a higher level, we can't really resonate at the level of the lower emotions anymore. And so they're really uncomfortable. So you may need to process those out. So if you need to cry it out. If you need to run it out. If you need to scream it out, like whatever you've got to do. But don't be afraid of emotions. Go ahead and allow those to process through, because if you try to choke them down, it's just going to put more pressure into your body. Okay. So my guides are saying that one thing is certain, is that all of our chakras are expanding. So like I said at the beginning, we're really being asked to physically embody this new light. So these new light codes that are coming in, I know I did like I think it was like upgrading some chakras. And I know I did like a crystalline DNA meditation. Any of the meditations that I've done so far, just look back and see which ones you're familiar with. Now, if you are here on Patreon and you haven't joined the Facebook group for Patreon yet, go ahead and do that, because what I've done in Patreon, there's no way to categorize the posts. So I've been trying to put like a little notice at the front, so that you know if it's divine guidance, or if it's a meditation, or if it's an energy report, or if it, whatever the post is about. I've been trying to get that in the beginning of Patreon, but if you go to the Facebook group, it's literally broke out into units, so you can go directly to whichever thing you want to listen to. So if you're looking for a specific meditation, I don't have all of them in, but the most recent ones I do have in. And I'll keep doing that as we move forward, just to keep it in categories, because I know there's so much information on the Patreon channel. That being said, you guys, as I wrap this up, I want you to remember that when we're going through this process, we need to look at all 5 pillars of ourself. Okay. So the wholeness of who we are is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and galactic energy all together. Okay. So even though this might be an ascension symptom, don't discount the physical body. If you're having an ascension headache and you know that it's energy, that doesn't mean don't drink some water, or don't take ibuprofen, or whatever it is that you take, and a pain medicine. Like if you're feeling the physical symptoms, do what you need to with your physical body. Take the herbs or whatever it is that will help the headache. If you have an earache and you know that it's ascension symptoms, and you've already asked yourself, like, a really good thing too, just so you guys know, is whenever you're experiencing this, if you can get yourself quiet and just tune into your own self and ask, is this ascension, or is this something else, like physical, do I have a cold, or is this just ascension? You'll kind of get a gut feeling, or like something inside you that you just know that it's ascension. Okay. That being said, it's fine to reach out with me and ask questions. That's actually why I'm doing this today. Somebody was asking, and I felt like it's been coming up enough that I wanted to address it. But what I'm saying is, like, if you have an earache and it's ascension symptoms, it's not going to hurt anything to still put lavender on your ear, or use a hot pad on your ear to relieve the pain, because even though it's energetic, we still have to live in these physical bodies, and we want to do our best to take care of our physical. Okay. So if you need to get movement, if you need to rest, if you need to, sleep, if you need to walk, if you need a hot bath, like all of those things are things that you should do as you're dealing with ascension symptoms, just like you would if you had the cold or flu. If you had a flu, you would probably sleep, you would get enough water. You know what I mean? Like, so don't feel like you shouldn't, quote unquote, treat the physical symptom, even though it's just ascension, right? You still want to get yourself through it. If it's your arms and, if your knee's hurting, put some, some cream on it, use some glucosamine MSM cream or something, or use some icy hot or whatever it is that you use, right? There's no reason to go through the physical pain of it, without trying to ease that in some way. Mentally, the same thing. Like, don't let yourself run through this whole myriad of, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Is everything okay? Or don't get mad at yourself if you have thoughts coming up that are from forever ago, because it's probably part of the processing and purging, because we're going through this process. See, here I am tripping over my words. We're going through the process of ascension right now. So again, as we raise our vibration, we may have to purge thoughts that we haven't had in a long time, but they're still somewhere lurking, in our brain space. So whatever's coming up for you, just deal with it as much as you can. Same thing with emotions. You might just need to cry it out. It might be emotions that you haven't felt in a long time, but it's time to finally resolve those so that you can move forward. Okay. Spiritual. Some of these could be your spiritual energy. It could be that your chakras are being fine-tuned. It could be that your clairvoyance is becoming recalibrated. It could be that you've only ever been clairsentient, but now you're going to be clairvoyant as well. So there's all kinds of spiritual things that could be happening with this too, right? And then as far as galactic energy, you guys have heard me say this before. If the moon alone can move the tide, then can you only imagine what it does to us? Then you add in all of the other planets and the big hitters that are going on right now, and everything has a magnetic pull, right? That's what makes up the galaxy. All of these planets working in tandem to create our galaxy. So of course, all of those planets moving around moving around our planet of Earth, they're going to have a different kind of pull. And so we've got some really big hitters right now that are going into retrograde. It's going to feel different. So our physical bodies are going to feel different because there's a different alignment in our galaxy due to the way the planets move. Okay. So all of those things that I listed, you guys, of course, are use your own discernment, use your own ability to know your own body. If you're not familiar with it, this is a perfect time to start learning to tune into your body and seeing what comes up and what you're feeling and all of those kind of things. That being said, this is not medical advice. Okay. So you guys have to know that, if it just happens for a couple hours or something, probably no big deal. Probably it is, just the ascension symptoms. But if it's something more than that, then you need to go to the doctor, just like you would for anything else, right? So just be aware of really understanding that you've got to just tune into yourself and start trusting yourself more. That's one of the things that we're being called to too. Our chakras are expanding. We're going through energy that we've literally never felt before, because the planets haven't been in this alignment since I've been alive, and I think you'd have to be over 100 to have it actually be in this alignment. And so there's all of these different things that we're going through, and we're going through them in all of the stages: the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and galactic. All is having changes. So trust yourself to know what you're doing. And of course, like I said, if you feel like you need, if your emotions are getting out of control, call a counselor. If you feel like it's not ascension symptoms and maybe it's gone on for days, go to the doctor just to be sure. It very well could still be ascension symptoms, but don't feel like that's all it is. If it's going on and on, then I would definitely get a hold of a doctor. So quick disclaimer, this is just informational purposes. This isn't medical advice in any way, but definitely if you feel like it's something above and beyond what you might be feeling in ascension symptoms, then definitely reach out to somebody to get some help from either a doctor or counselor or whatever it is that you need. But know that if you're experiencing any of these, you're not crazy. This is real. You do physically feel this. There are such things as ascension symptoms. There are such things as energetic headaches. You know, I used to get headaches whenever there were solar flares. I could feel the solar flares on when they happened on the sun, not when the magnetic storm came to the planet. So like, you've just got to trust yourself and your own body of what you feel and what you're going through. And it very well could be part of this recalibration that we're all going through. So sending you guys lots of love today, and I will talk to you soon. Please let me know if you have any other questions about ascension symptoms.